Hello, everybody. Phenomenal, sir. Coming at you with a brief announcement. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, you can hear me. Okay, good. I've restarted this thing 3 times now, so I just had to double check. Anyway, I know we just finished streaming up or finished up streaming like a couple of hours ago. But I've been looking at some stuff. I've been consulting with my personal guidance apparati. And I have decided that we are not going to be finishing Dark Cloud. I'm just going to put out the video right now. This is going to be like the cap on the game. Um, I looked ahead. I've done a good job so far of not looking ahead, and you guys have done. I don't know if I would say it's a good job. You've been very consistent in not helping me up till now, I'll say. Um, but I did look ahead because I was kind of thinking that this was going to be the end of the game today. And then the game actually told me like, okay, it's time for the final boss fight. So then we played a little longer than I probably would have. And then it turns out there's a whole nother dungeon that I have to go through. And I was like, all right. So I looked and there's like you can buy almost all of the upgrades at the entrance to the final dungeon, but like you really can't because money is impossible to get in this game unless you like really spend a lot of time playing. So I have enough money for like 3 upgrade items or like the gems or whatever. Um, so I was looking at that and I was like, is that just like kind of an extra thing, or do they really expect you to kind of like go through and really be grinding out like tens of thousands of gold pieces and then buying upgrades and I think they actually expect that. So I looked and there's 25 floors. I did see that obviously this is the hardest dungeon, right? This is the last dungeon. Um, I think there may be a bonus dungeon or like an infinity dungeon or something, but I already said in the video like we're not doing that shit. But this is the final like story dungeon. Um, Looking at it, it follows the exact same pattern from what I read. It follows the exact same pattern as all the other dungeons. It's 18 floors of random bullshit with like increased thirst, weapons lose XP, that kind of thing. And you have to collect Atla. I don't know why you have to collect Atla because we've fixed everything, but apparently you cannot fight the final boss unless you collect all the Atla on all 18 floors. And then for the final handful of floors, each floor in sequence apparently locks you to a single character. So you have to do an entire floor with Sammy. You have to do an entire floor with Waffle, Rose, Enip, Van Ross. Um, as where we are right now, and I was very frustrated about this, is that I spent about like between 3 and 4 hours at the end of last week, like after last week's stream, just trying to level up Peanut so that I could use him and never got a single weapon drop. So I kind of gave up. I was like, well, F it. I guess, that's just it. I'll level up Rose some more because she's the only character that's actually useful other than the main character, who's actually like getting less and less useful because the enemies just have better range than you. End of story. So I leveled Rose a lot. And then immediately we get onto the moon and there's like more weapon drops for him, and now it's like, well, fuck, I guess I gotta like level up these weapons, right, to like give him a fighting chance. um but I've done like no leveling with Waffle whatsoever because we haven't really had required Waffle stages. And like, sorry, Waffle Dynasty, but the Waffle character kind of sucks. He's just a sucky character. So when I saw that, I immediately was like, all right, we're not going to play this anymore because I just the normal grinding I've been doing, I'm putting like 3 or 4 hours off stream into the game, which I've been very open with the fact that I'm not wild about the game to begin with. Um, and that's just doing like sort of like general grinding to get like that weapon upgraded or this character upgraded or whatever. But to actually sit down and like grind up every individual character to the point where they're like ready for the final floor of the hardest dungeon in the game, I'm not doing that. I'm not that would be bare minimum 10 hours of grinding, 2 hours for every character. Some of the characters it would be more, right? Like I think we actually killed 3 enemies with the newest party member today, and like 2 of them we didn't get XP for because it was on a floor that you couldn't earn XP. Um, and he's got multiple weapon types to use. So like it's anywhere 2 hours or more. Like I could conceivably see getting ready and feeling comfortable going into this taking me like upwards of 10 to 15 hours. And so far we've spent 38 hours just on the game total. So it's like we're gonna tack an extra 40% onto that. No, I'm not doing that. I'm absolutely not doing that. Um, so that being said, I'm sure you're all really tore up about it. You've all really enjoyed watching me lose my shit the last few weekends. But yeah, I'm not playing anymore Dark. We're done. We're done with Dark Cloud. Dark Cloud ends now. I can't be mad. I can't be mad at that one specifically for getting added onto the playlist because I did have it on my want to playlist, so it is my fault. Like I was like, I want to try this game. Um, but like I was saying before, like in retrospect, I undercharged like crazy for that game. Like this game has eaten up every single Saturday since I came back to streaming basically. Like it is I've just been playing it forever. I could have beaten like Breath of Fire 3. I could have been like, you know, halfway through Final Fantasy 9 by now. Like I could have made a lot of progress in a game that I actually wanted to play and I've just kind of been like forcing myself to play Dark Cloud instead. So that being said, I'm going to dutifully share my thoughts and feelings about the game. Um, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good. I understand why I stopped playing it back in 2002 or 3 or whenever I eventually picked it up when it came out. Um, this is a game that I understand a lot of people like. We actually had some new followers that came in specifically because I was playing Dark Cloud that really liked the game. And I celebrate the fact that you like it the same way you should celebrate the fact that I like Rings of Power and, The Immortal and like all these other bad, janky games that I played as a kid and as a result love. This is a nostalgia game all the way. It is, in modern terms, the storyline is basically non-existent. The storyline that exists to give you a reason to go on a collectathon through multiple dungeons. The town building is cool. Like we're talking about mechanics now. The town building is a cool concept, but it switched back and forth between being like just a thing you have to do to advance. Like it's cool to like customize the town and like build stuff, but really at the end of the day, it is just like find all the puzzle pieces and stick them where they go and then drop everything down on the map and then you have to like figure out where everybody wants their house to be and that takes like half an hour and then it's done. Like it's a cool concept that kind of just isn't fun because there's not enough variation to it for me. There's not enough variety in what you can do, right? Like there's only one way to build each town, more or less. There's only one way to build every house, and every house is supposed to go in a specific spot oriented towards another thing. It's either supposed to be facing east or it's supposed to be near the oasis or it has to be in front of the windmill. It has to be like so it's just like a thing you do. It's like a box you check at the end of the day. Cool concept, poor execution. The weapon grinding, cool concept, terrible execution, right? Leveling in this game is based on your ability to rebuild towns, which allows you to hunt down and find gourds for thirst meters, fruits of Eden for health, and then defense items that are unique to each character. There is a maximum amount of thirst that you can like add to the bar for each character. It appears, unless you get more in the final dungeon, it appears you can't max them out for everybody, which means you have to pick which characters you like and then focus on those characters, except haha, F you, you have to actually level up all the characters for the final dungeon. Same thing with health. Like the characters have seemingly arbitrary maximum healths that don't really seem appropriate to absorb the abuse you take from the monsters. Like the main character has a cap of 170 hit points, and the boss in the fifth dungeon does 150 hit points of damage per hit. So basically, you get hit once, and then you have to like panic heal or run away and hope you don't get snagged on the terrain or something. So, as far as your actual characters go, The leveling is heavily gated by the progression through the game. It never feels like you're actually strong in a meaningful way. The only thing that you really get strong at is the damage you deal to other enemies. And that's the probably the biggest offender for this game for me is the fact that um so much of this game is just grinding your gear up. And it's not even as simple as like going out and fighting monsters and your weapons get stronger. It's actually like a little bit of guesswork where you have to look at the weapons. You have to figure out what's not high enough, right? What's not high enough, and then just start leveling that thing up until the number turns from red to white, but with no clear understanding of like whether what you're building towards is actually good or not. Like there's some sort of concept that like some of the weapons are better than others, but it's not really clear which ones or why. And as a result, you spend a lot of time just not even grinding your weapons up, grinding for the things you need to grind your weapons up. Like, for instance, I have a weapon now that needs Mimic Breaker. Like, Mimic Breaker has to be leveled up to build this weapon up. And in the final dungeon, the shop that sells all the attachments almost doesn't sell Mimic Breaker or Metal Breaker. So if I want to level up that weapon, I need to go buy a bunch of bombs, and then I need to go into a dungeon and then find a dungeon that has mimics, and then I need to kill the mimics specifically with bombs, because if you kill certain enemies with bombs, they drop attachments, but if you kill them with weapons, they don't. So I got to go around and find mimics and kill the mimics with bombs, and then hope that they drop the thing. And then every one of those things they drop, I have to put it onto a weapon, two or three or four at a time, depending on the weapon, and then fight and fight and fight and level up, and then check and say, okay, did I level it up enough? No. Okay, I guess I need more mimic breakers. The attachment inventory is very limited. You're trying to keep track of like leveling up six different characters' weapons, and every one of them needs different things, and you almost have to like empty out your entire inventory and just focus on one character at a time. But there's nowhere to store that stuff, right? So now not only are you trying to farm or buy, or farm for certain items, or if you can buy the items, you have to farm for gold, which takes a super long time too. Now you have to manage your inventory just to be able to have the space in your inventory to hold the items that you need to put on the weapons to get the kills, to level up, to maybe your weapon will be strong enough, and hopefully when you upgrade it you pick the thing that's good and not a thing that'll just randomly gain a bad effect like fragile or something, right? Like, it's also RNG based. And all of this is predicated on your ability to just get a weapon to drop randomly in a dungeon. And because the main character has about 8,000 swords, and then later characters only have two or three weapons each, you are heavily skewed towards just finding a lot of swords you don't want or need well into the game, right? And you get one ring for Rose, for the genie. For Rose, we got one ring as a quest reward. And that same ring can be purchased, right? We got a couple of weapons for Waffle, and there's a couple of weapons that can be purchased. But if you want to get anything good, you have to fish. The fishing is horrible. We tested out the fishing on stream. I hated it. We tried to do some fishing off stream. Stuff just didn't spawn. Like, the fish just didn't show up. I spent 30, 45 minutes trying to catch a legendary fish, and I never even had the opportunity because I reset the map for half an hour and never even got one to spawn, which tells me that that's a really time consuming thing that eats up a lot of hours, and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. Um which really brings me to the major issue of the game, right? Which is that everything about this game is work. And I don't mean it in the sense of like I didn't like this game, so it feels like it takes a lot of effort to play it. It's work in the actual like raw meaning of the word, in that you can't just veg out and run around and fight monsters and your characters get stronger. Everything you do has to have intent behind it. You have to be intentional in the way you organize your inventory, in the things that you're buying, in the things that you're equipping. You have to it's such a chore to level your characters in this game. And then when you level them, again, all it's really doing is making you able to kill monsters faster, but it doesn't prevent the monsters from two-shotting you, right? Like, so you're not really getting stronger, you're just buying better weapons with your time and sanity and effort. Enough about that. Um, so the story basically exists to create a collectathon. The town building exists to give you something to do other than fight monsters. Fighting monsters only exists to give you something to do to, like gather up items and grind your weapons up. And again, I've talked before ad nauseum about like the dungeons themselves are boring. We had like longtime viewers that look at the dungeons and they're like, "This is boring." It's true. The dungeons look boring. They're repetitive. The monster fights are boring and repetitive. Basically, everything comes down to, can you hit them before they hit you? Or more preferably, are they a thing that's not resistant to rain? Right? Like just use ranged, and you're fine. Um, but the weapon HP thing is horrible. It's a horrible mechanic. It's terrible the way it's done. And the dungeon exploring is just not fun either. The the there's never a clear sense of risk reward in the game. It's all just I hope things work out, right? Like um yeah. The boss fights, every single boss fight was a gimmick fight. It was a trick fight. If you don't know exactly the thing to do, then every boss takes single digit damage. Go to hell. Um, the the arcs of each town were completely the same every time. I'd have to go back and look, but I kept talking about like, oh, eighth or ninth floor, we're gonna get a character. I think it might actually be the eighth floor of every dungeon we get a new character. Like the devs didn't have enough imagination to switch up the floor in the dungeon you get your new character on, right? Like it was just so, I use the word formulaic a lot, and not in a flattering sense. Like the devs came up with a formula and they followed that formula, fun be damned. This is what we're going to do. And I didn't enjoy it. You guys, a lot of y'all out there claim you enjoy it. Good for you. Like, this was so unenjoyable to me that I took Dark Cloud 2 and 3 off my want to play list because people are telling me they're way better, but you know what? I don't care. This series is dead for me. Like I just cannot play it. Um, so all of that being said, short story long, no more Dark Cloud. It's over. We're not playing Dark Cloud. This experience has actually made me start to rethink community challenges in general, like letting people suggest community challenge games. It's actually making me pull back on wanting to like encourage the community to suggest games, because if this was a game that I had just started playing on my own and said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna play some Dark Cloud," like we would have never made it to the 10-hour mark. I would have stopped a long time ago, but I kept pushing through it because I felt obligated. And that is not a recipe for fun, especially not in a 25-year-old video game. Like it's not a recipe for fun anywhere in life, right? But certainly not when you're playing a game that's older than most of your viewers. Like playing something because you feel obligated to do so and hoping that if not fun, at least it becomes tolerable at some point is dangerously close to some of the reasons I stopped streaming to begin with. And it's really making me, so I guess I should be grateful to Dark Cloud for that, because it has made me reevaluate some of the things I've been doing since I came back to streaming before I got so far down the road that it made me like want to stop again. So um that being said, 2 stars. It gets 2 out of 4 stars, and 0 out of 1 stars for me liking it. This was a chore to play. They had a lot of cool. The game was not fundamentally broken, though I will say that when I looked at the wiki earlier, apparently if you're playing the English version, you just can't get into the back floors of the final dungeon because they forgot to put the item in. I don't know how you forget to put an item in the English version of a game that's in the Japanese version. Like I would think that I have always thought that like when you translate a game from one language to the other, you don't have to like rebuild it from scratch, but apparently they forgot to put the item in. It also makes me wonder if that's why I never got into a back floor on the moon. I commented a couple times like, "Hey, where's the key for this?" Like it keeps saying, "Are you brave?" Like, "Yeah, sure. Can I jump down there?" So there may be multiple missing items. There may be other stuff that's missing as well that I'm not aware of. So the game worked, but it was not fully functional. It had some cool ideas, but every single one of the cool ideas was implemented in the worst way possible. And yeah, the longer I talk, the more I want to give it 1.5 stars. Um, because I just don't know if 2 stars is high enough. Because like I said, they're getting a star for like cool ideas, but all the cool ideas were poorly implemented. 1 star is the baseline. Like 1 star just means the game works, which, I said, oh, it works, but then like it doesn't really. Like there's stuff missing, there's stuff that doesn't make sense, the functions don't work. The duels were cool. That's another idea. The 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 duels were fun. All three of them, right? Like an hour into the game, they were like, "Oh yeah, we do this cool thing called duels that you can get cool rewards for and everything." And then there was like actually like 4 duels in the entire game. Um, so even when they came up with a cool idea that actually like worked the way it was supposed to, they didn't give you the option to try a second time to get like the special rewards. And they only did it a couple of times the whole game. Like I would have been fine with like 2 duels every dungeon just to mix things up a little bit. That'd have been cool. Have a little mini boss mixed in there like they did with the forest, the snake mini boss. Make the mini bosses be like a dodge thing. It's like they forgot about that mechanic halfway through the game. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just not. Yeah, 1.5 stars. I don't like this game. I'm sorry. I love you all. I hope you don't hate me, and I hope that we can all just exist in a Venn diagram where there's no overlap between me and Dark Cloud moving forward. If you're still watching this after 20 minutes of me talking, I appreciate you. Thank you. We're gonna hopefully have more good stuff to play in the future, but we won't be playing this again. And with that, I'm out, and I will see you all next time. Stay healthy, stay safe out there. Later.